G'day and welcome back to the Built for Adventure podcast, where Chris and Rick sit down, answer the questions that come up in our Built for Adventure program, where busy dads are finding time to get adventurous, be the men they want to be, and build their perfect average day. If you want to learn how to be a part of Built for Adventure, drop us a comment, reach out to us on our socials, send us an email, and we'll hook you up with an invite to come check it out and be a part of the tribe. Now, let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Build for Adventure podcast, and we're going to do another Q&A this week. Hey Rick, how's it going?
Hey Chris, doing well, brother. Good to see you.
You too, man. I'll preface with saying hay fever is nuts right now. In Albury. I reckon we definitely are the hay fever capital of Australia, for sure. I'm going to say the world, because I have had the jab and I take hay fever tablets, and I'm still just like, you can see my eyes.
Yeah, well,
They're just so red. But anyway, I'm doughy. The hay fever tablets make me just feel like a doughy mess. But we've got some cool questions, and let's rip. What are we going to start with?
yeah. Let's talk about fueling for fat loss. Like, why do you believe in it so much?
So I had a good conversation with a dad in person, just off the cuff. And I was telling her about like how I use the app Macro Factor. Like all I do is give it my food, give it my daily weigh-ins, and it gives me a target that I stick to, and the target changes every Sunday when we do the check-in. You're using the app too.
Yep.
And he come back and said, I don't have the discipline for that. And maybe it was that maybe sort of think like, so I think it as like, it's no discipline. I'm eating whatever I like. I just got to put it in there. I don't care. So it's like two different worlds. And I was sort of saying it to him. I was like, it's interesting you said that, because like, I don't see it as a discipline thing. I'm eating whatever I want. And I just throw it into the app, and it tells me how much I can eat. And he kind of said it was like, oh yeah. And he's like, I think I just do better with diets. And then, so it was a really good conversation. So the reason why I think like fueling for fat loss is it's just a simpler tool for dads, parents to have a safety net to get their goal. So it's like, the concept of the safety net is like, do something which is like takes very little effort, very minimal time, that'll guarantee the goal and will catch you when you fall. So when you come up against, like, I was talking just off mic before, like I'm cooked this week because it's just stuff going on, juggling home life. And I'm kind of falling into that safety net where I just got to give it the boot. And then I just stop when I get to the point where I need to stop. And that's it. I don't have to think about the food choices or anything. If I don't want to, I can just chuck it in there. It doesn't really matter. I think as a parent, it's super important. Like allowing them to eat the way they already do, because they found most people have a way of eating. They just generally eat too much of it because they don't know how much of that they can get away with. So instead of going like, as a parent, using tons of willpower and learning, like a strict diet with all these rules, it's just like, just track your food, weigh yourself once a week, and do your measurements. Does you get results? Yes, no. If not, reduce it a little bit. And that's like this. That's the reason why I think fueling for fat loss is so important. It's the easiest thing to do. And we're not talking like, I think what people get caught up with is like weighing and measuring and all that kind of stuff, like getting really detailed with the calorie tracking. We don't do any of that. We're like, eyeball it, track it, and we just track the trends. If it's inaccurate, cool. Just be consistently inaccurate. Yeah. So we know the trend lines, and we just move based off the trends. We're not going to get you to go weigh and measure stuff. Like, no one's got time for that. That's why I believe in it so much. It's just simple. It's a simpler tool. It's a fast tool.
Yeah. And I like the way you frame the eating. Has to be practical, especially if you're trying to eat with your family, right? And not eating something separate or different from what your kids are eating, what your partner is eating, your wife. but having those meal times as a together time, not as you eating something separate in another room to avoid the temptation, right?
I always go back to when I did carnival, when they were eating like pizza and I was just eating steak and eggs. They were having brekkie and I was eating steak and eggs. It was just not a fun time. And the questions were from the kids were so hard to answer in a way where I didn't want to implant on them. They're like, have this eating thing.
Yeah.
So it's just the whole concept of like Build for Adventure. We put the challenge where we want it. So why put the challenge around food and learning something really, really challenging to do and takes tons of willpower, where you just eat what you already are doing with your family? Track it, Fuel for Fat Loss.
Yep.
Just eat this much. Makes it easier.
Yeah. I love those principles. So maybe we'll touch on this post you just had.
Yeah.
How I need to get to sub 10% body fat at 40-year-olds, at being 40-year-olds, juggling busy dad life.
Yeah. So I turned 40 in Feb, and I'm at the leanest now than I've probably ever been. And I'm not the lightest, I'm the leanest. So I've been down to 78 when I first got into health and fitness thing. But all I was eating was like gag reflex, warning for everyone, microwaved steamed veggies with canned tuna. And I would just eat that all the time. I did that for ages. And I lost tons of weight, but I had no muscle. So I got down to 78 kilos, but I didn't look in shape. I was just skinny fat. So the leanest I am now is, I'm at 88 now. And I was like at 85 at the beginning of this year. So this is roughly the leanest I've ever been. But when I was 30, I reckon I was probably 105. Around 27% body fat, probably. And I was a PT then too. I just tried to do the whole out-train your diet thing. So the goal of wanting to be sub 10% is just to look just to look and feel good at 40. And it's a challenge. Can I do it while eating the meals with my family? Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. It's like, it's not one or the other. It has to be both. So I've got to try and figure it out with both. So yeah, there's like, should we go through each step?
Yeah, 7 steps.
Yeah. So step 1 was milestones, and I've done this the last few times. So I've got the whiteboard just there, and I've got it written in orange texter on each Sunday from when I started, which was I was at 92. And the next Sunday is like, I want to be 91.5. The next Sunday, I want to be 91. And I just kept dropping 0.5 a kilo each week. And when I do my weigh-in, I weigh in every day. But it's usually the aggregate, which is what Macrofactor gives us. Mm-hmm. I put that on the Sunday. If I get it, sweet. Basically allows me to do a free meal, which comes down in the other steps. But basically step 1, milestones. Set up milestones so you got incremental wins getting you there. So you have feel good moments on the way down. Yeah. That's the most important part. And then step 2, Fuel for Fat Loss, which is what we've just talked about, where I put all my food and whatever I drink calorie-wise as well into Macrofactor. It doesn't matter what app you just use any app. We use Macrofactor ourselves and do my daily weigh-ins and then let that tell me how much I can eat. And then the game I've got, which I've done a post before about training for adventure, my game is trying to increase my movement without causing stress on the family as much as I can to allow me to eat more food. So those two play off against each other. And then I go to step 3, the MET 10 eating, and not like hat tip to Jade Tedder. I read this from him when I did his muscle gain challenge. I can't remember what it was called. I actually think the program might have been called MET 10. But anyway, it was a really cool strength program, but he had a nutrition protocol in it. And the MET 10 list was in there. And it was just a good list. It was just easy. It's like, stick to this all the time. One favorite food. So basically the list is like meat, dairy, eggs, non-starchy veggies. So like salads and stuff, fruits, plain potatoes, so sweet potato, white potato, boiled potatoes, rice, vinegars and spices for flavor. Then a protein and fiber meal replacement, which can be a protein bar or when I use protein powder.
Mhm.
And then number 10 is just the favorite food. You pick one thing that's not on that list and have that for the week to sort of keep yourself sane. I just stick to that pretty much all the time. And there's just little tweaks to dinner that I might need to make. Like if the kids are having spaghetti bolognese and pasta, I'll just have that with rice.
Sure.
And I prefer it with rice, funnily enough. But just tweak having my days like that. I follow the Met 10 list. If it's not 100%, it would be like 95%. It's very close to 100%.
Wow.
And I'll run that between milestones. So between going from like, where am I at now? 88. So I'm staying on Met 10 till I get down to 87.5.
Mm.
And then, which is like on step 4, when I get to those milestones, I just have a free day. Like on Sunday, I just had one. And what we have, I had some burgers and I had cheese and crackers. And just stuff that like I was sort of craving. Chocolate, nothing too crazy. And I still tracked it all using my Fuel4FatLoss rules. I just had a day where I was just went completely off the list and relaxed a little bit and then went back on it afterwards.
Mm.
And it's just like a mental reset. And it does lots of good stuff. Like they're kind of like refeed. It does a lot of good stuff for weight loss journeys. But yeah, for me, it's more of a mental reset. So that's another step 4. So if I go in Met 10 eating most of the time, once I hit a milestone, I have a free day and I go straight back to those Met 10. And then shakes and fruit. This is number 5. I've always played around. My perfect average day is always built around like doing tons of movement and all my work early in the day. And then lunchtime's kind of like I draw a line in the sand and then I go into like learning mode, study, looking after the kids, just kind of rest and digest, just kind of relaxing. So using the analogy of like early morning is the hunt, afternoon is the feed. So in the morning, I'm kind of already fueling enough to train, to be able to work and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just like have a scoop of protein powder and water. And the protein powder I've got is diamatized, like double chocolate fudge. It's delicious. So it hits me that sort of sweet kind of kick, but there's like less than 10 grams of sugar in it. So I have that with like a banana or an apple or an orange. Doesn't really matter. Like we had this massive tub of grapefruits from Kat's sister. So I was just smashing grapefruits for like a week, like 2 to 3 times a day. But they would have protein and fruit. So I'd do that before taking the kids to school, come home, train, and do it straight afterwards. And then that'll get me through to lunchtime, which is step 6, where I eat meat and fermented veggies for lunch. Doesn't matter what meat, usually it's just leftover dinner. Like I had the leftover turkey mince from our tacos the night before yesterday and just mixed it in with like sauerkraut and kimchi and pickles. The pickles we've got are huge at the moment. They're like that for around about that big. Jalapenos, whatever fermented veggies I can get. There's like a fermented, you get jars at Aldi, which is just fermented veggies like cauliflower and carrots all in one. It's whatever we can get our hands on, really. And I usually fill the plate up with fermented veggies because there's like so much volume and next to no calorie hit. Like it doesn't do anything to your numbers. So I fill it up as much as I can and just have meat, like 2 to 300 grams of meat. So that's the lunch. And then the last thing, like step 7, is the salty drink, where the salty drink I'm using now is called Lights. I think it's only available in Australia, but in America, there's one called Element. Mm-hmm. I used to get that, but you can't get that easily in Australia anymore. They don't ship it anymore. But roughly it's like 1,000 milligrams of salt or sodium each stick or each scoop. I usually have 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And that's kind of like what I'm doing every day. The other thing I should have put in there is like step 8 is like eat family dinner. That's kind of like, it is what I do anyway. But just eat whatever's on the list, like whatever we're cooking for the kids. Generally, it's always something around meat and 3 veg. Like we had tacos. I didn't have tacos. I had rice with all the taco filling sitting on top of the meats and stuff. There's just little tweaks to whatever they're doing. And we just make it work that way. And Kat's doing the same as me. She's following the same rules while she's doing it. And it's just, doesn't take a lot of effort. But I will say that this is after me doing tons of diets since 2010. Yeah. So there's 10 years of experience in learning what works for me. And I will also say, like, for most people, step 1 and step 2 is all you need to lose weight. Everything else, like step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is all to make the process and the journey easier to show up for.
Yeah.
Takes less willpower. So usually, with the dads that come into the program, we go step 1, step 2, we get them locked in, and then we build out their Met 10. So whatever their list of food are that make them feel good. And then we sort of work in the rest of it. And it kind of jumps around. But that's what I'm doing every day. And some days are hard. Like I would say the last 2 days, because I've been like emotionally cooked, it's been harder to stick to.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for the escape of like grabbing food just to sort of feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I would switch to the journaling and write down stuff to stay on track. And I used to have a rule I used to always say is like, hey, if you still crave this thing tomorrow, have it tomorrow, but get through the rest of the day. And usually by tomorrow, I'm good.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. The biggest question here on this post, most likely, I mean, everybody who's outside of Australia, what's this kangaroo meat you're talking about here?
Yeah. So we got 2 companies, it's called a Game Meat Co. So you can go into Woes, Coles, they're like our grocery stores, and there's like a kangaroo section. So they got like kangaroo sizzle steak, kangaroo meatballs, kangaroo mince, kangaroo burger patties. So you can get 4 burger patties. And everyone knows like sausages and burger patties, they're so calorie dense. You have one and it has a huge calorie hit. I could eat easily 4 burger patties at a time, and it could be like 2,000 calories. So the kangaroo ones is like, each patty is 20 grams of protein and less than 10 grams of fat. Like it's next to none. Like it's so lean. So I use them as like a go-between. Same with sausages. I'll have sausages. I'm craving sausages. I could eat a whole tray of kangaroo sausages and it'd be like next to no hit on my day. Just a massive protein hit.
Wow.
Kat's not a big fan. Doesn't like the smell that much. But that's why I only do it at lunchtime.
Mm.
And it's very lean. So it's just like quick cook. Like it's like, you don't spend too much time cooking it because it will just dry up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very it's very popular in the training world in Australia because it's our latest meat.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like if you don't, like there's chicken breast, which everyone knows a bodybuilding chicken breast and rice and broccoli diet. But kangaroo's kind of like the other thing. There was the vertical diet guy, Stan Efferdine, whatever his name is. He's the guy who trained the mountain from Game of Thrones and to get absolutely ultra shredded. And Brian Shaw as well, the strong. He's like, lots of athletes that he's trained. He has this thing, it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of gross. It's this meal where it's like for people who want to bulk up, rice in bone broth with mince and stuff. It's kind of like, it almost looks like it's partially digested. They could just smash it and have heaps of calories without really thinking about it. And they just put in these huge like thermos. I did it with kangaroo mince when I did it. And it was so tasty. It smelled horrendous. It smelled not good.
Yeah, I love it. You did touch on the emotional eating or the boredom eating, the binge eating. You want to maybe touch on that, the journaling process around that?
Yes. So I asked a question on one of my posts last week, like, what is everyone's biggest struggle? And a lot of mums commented, funny enough. But this is like a dad thing too. We just don't articulate it that well, or as well as what mums do. So there's a lot of like, I can food prep and plan and go really well up until I get home. And then I get bored and want to go eat something, or something really stressful has been happening and I eat to feel good, which is totally normal. And like most of the stuff that you will hear is like, you need to learn to control your emotional eating. And, or like what I used to hear a lot is like, don't emotional eat, just like flat out don't do it. And everybody sit right within, and I have to do more study and learning and stuff. It's kind of like telling people just to go eat cardboard. Like we like food because it tastes nice and it makes us feel good. So trying to tell people not to emotionally eat is taking away the one thing that used to bring people together. Was food. It's not that we should stop emotional eating. And what I tend to do is like, when I coach people through it, I'm like, have the thing, have whatever it is that's going to make you feel good right now, but just have this much. We're not going to say no to it, because if you do have it and you know that you're not meant to, you're going to go ham. You'll go crazy on it and go over the top because you're like, oh no, I'll stop tomorrow. But today I'm going to go nuts. But if you allow yourself to eat it whenever you want, because it does make you feel good, but you only eat this much. This is where fueling for fat loss comes in. This is why I think it's so powerful.
And tracking.
Yeah, like track your food, eat the things that make you feel good in the moment, and just stop when you hit the ceiling. The reason why is kind of like, sort of like you've got like a parent who's juggling lots of crazy stuff. Like say like neurodiverse kids. There's like a lady I met on the weekend. She's got 3, all with neurodiversity. So she's got a lot going on, and she's a single parent.
Wow.
It was like me telling her not to emotionally eat should probably push me out a window. Like it's just not a good way to go about it. So it's kind of like, cool, just do the things that you got to do to get through. But do this, like track it. Let's track it. This is your ceiling. This is how much you can get away with while still staying lean. So you can have this much, and it'll allow you to have it. And then let's start working. And this is where you touched on the journaling part. Start working in this other stuff that can help you long-term to feel good, which is like collecting proof about this actions and stuff you take in alignment towards your goal that make you feel your best. So I think it's like, it's kind of balancing like the quick wins with the long-term stuff, which is a fine balance. But I just don't like the idea of people saying like, yeah, you got to learn how to not emotionally eat. Like it's just, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, we all do it.
Yeah.
Like we don't eat a steak and go, yeah, whatever. So what do you feel like? I don't feel food. I just eat. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And it's also cultural. It's
Yeah.
where we bond with our family, with each other, new friends. So yeah, I love that attitude, that perspective.
I guess too, real quick on like intuitive eating, because people would be like, if you intuitively eat, you know when to stop. When you have a kid that's not sleeping very well at all, and your sleep's all up the shit, I will push back against the idea of intuitive eating, because your body is trying to get you to get as much energy as it can to get through the day. So when you're in a high stress situation, intuitive eating is challenging. So this is why we want those safety nets, fueling for fat loss. In the world we live in now, with the abundance of food we have and the onset of social media and all this kind of stuff, we need at least a tool, which is a safety net that can catch us when we get in a really high stress situation. So you can do intuitive eating, but when it stops working, you need another tool. And usually it's always like, let's look at the quantity of food you eat. So I start there. Let's figure out the quantity and then learn your intuitive eat to match it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that aligns better with people's stress cups.
Very good. And we got a little more time. You want to touch on maybe what you're training for your next adventure, the Spartan Beast?
Yeah. A guy asked me about it too. He goes, I want to do it, but I just don't feel like I can make it work. And I don't know where to start and all that kind of stuff. And we've got like our 3 pillars of training inside Built for Adventure, where it's like strength builders, which is just to get strong. So the way I use it is like that stress cup analogy. Strength builders, like if you're a cup and you're pouring stress into it, strength builders create a stronger cup, thicker glass, so it doesn't shatter. So more shit can go in, but you don't just burst. Engine builders is to build bigger capacity. So you get a bigger cup, so you can do more of life stuff without having a spillover effect. And then adventure wads is just the variety of the fun part. To connect the two, strength and engine building, put them together and like play in the arena, so to speak. Like, how does it look? Like you can get very good at strength movements by itself, and you can get very good at conditioning and running by itself. Put them together, and how does your body work then? Like I like to do really hard running and then try and do a difficult strength movement just to see where my body breaks down. And then that's the thing I try and work on. So that's what adventure wads are. What excitement, yes, but also like combining the two elements together. So this guy was asking me how he'd do it. I was like, following the rules of like Fuel for Adventure. Show up every day and do something. Cycle between a strength day, engine building day, adventure wad day, have a rest day. It's like, this is the template. You just follow this template all the time. And then the mini pro elite, which is allows us to show up all the time. Because if I said to someone, I was like, hey, you got to do 45 minutes to an hour every day doing this, it's never going to happen. Like I can't do it either. So having the rule of showing up every day, following the strength builder, so some kind of strength work, some kind of engine work, combining the two for adventure wads, and then a rest day, and then repeat that. So that's layer 2. And then layer 3 is like, all right, so we need to set up a mini, pro, and elite version of each one. The mini should take around 5 to 10 minutes. You can do it on the worst of your worst days. And for me, that's like it's PLP, which is like push up, lunge, pull up. And I've got a echo bike here. So I'll do like a 10-second sprint on the echo bike, walk over and do a set of PLP, 1 push up, 1 lunge, 1 pull up. And then I'll go back and do a 10-second sprint on the echo bike, and I'll go 2 lunge, 2 pull up, 2 push up, 3 dead, and just keep going backwards and forwards for 5 minutes or to 10 minutes. We're doing whatever, like just something easy, but even like just PLP by itself doesn't really matter. I've got a 30-day strength program, which just takes 5 minutes a day. If anyone ever wants it, just comment below, message me, I'll send it through. I'll link it in the show notes. Just something that you can do. It's very easy to show up for. So you still win the day. And it still aligns with the strength builder, engine builder, or adventure world. The pro is where we all live. That's the general day-to-day stuff. So it could be 20 minutes. Mine's like 45 minutes. Some people can easily train for an hour every day. But it's just what you can show up for majority of the time. You don't feel amazing, but you're not absolutely cooked. You just general day-to-day. So you come in and do, like today I've got a running engine builder session on the treadmill. So I've got to do, it's about 45 minutes. And that's what I'm going to roll with today. Then the next layer on top of that is elite. So when everything opens up and the world is perfect and you have tons of time and you feel really good and you're ready to rock, go big. Make it big. The jump between pro and elite should be kind of big. So when you do the elite thing, it feels really good. You're like, oh, it felt good to do that. knowing that you can't do that every day because you'll absolutely destroy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same as the way like elite athletes do it. They do a lot of pro stuff during the week to have those big games on the weekend. They don't destroy themselves all week and then try and destroy themselves on the weekend. They do sub-maximal stuff, which is like the pro level during the week. So they have the most amount of capacity for the weekend. So for me, I usually hit 1 to 2 elite a week. Generally, it's 1. And for me, it's like the 2-hour running sessions or 3 hours in the trails or whatever it is. They're usually the big ones. Because you got those kinds of things you got to negotiate with your partner to see if you can fit it in, all that kind of stuff. That's why when we talk about mini pro elite is like when the world's aligned and everything is right. You can go do it. There's little to no impact on the family. That's a good day. Go for it. Pro, if you show up in pro, that's a good day. You're still moving the needle.
It's a win.
Yeah. And minis, they're still a good day. They still move the needle. Because if you show up every day, it tells your brain that you're doing the work and it starts making you feel good. You start making progress. Your capacity gets better. Eventually, your minis will get bigger. It'd be 10 to 15, 15 to 20. But yeah, for this guy, I was just like, this is the way I would do it. Laid it out, put it all out. It was like, and then low motivation days, do a mini. Just start with a mini. If it feels good, keep going. And just keep rolling with this process. Because he's like, same age as me, he's like around 40. We're not putting a deadline on when you're going to get 21K ready. It's just showing up for the work and you will arrive when you arrive. Don't force a deadline into a world where there's so much randomness going on in like parenting life. So yeah, that's the way I kind of do it. That's the way I actually do it at the moment. And that's the way I would coach someone else who wants to get up to a 21K Spartan, which is 2 to 3 hours on the course, depending on how fit you are. Yeah, that's the way I kind of play around with it. The mini pro elite thing is huge in Built for Adventure. We do that with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just making sure you got those safety nets to make, which is what the minis are. They guarantee the goal, which is what people struggle with. Like, what is the least amount of work I can get away with and get results? And that's kind of what we specialize in Built for Adventure.
Right. Love that for that.
Yeah, that was good. Any other questions before we wrap up? I can't think of any others.
No, it's great. What's for lunch today?
I have the other 2 kangaroo patties. I actually might go for 4. Trying to think what the day's like. Because we've got this week's like juggling kid appointments like crazy.
Right now.
So I think it'll be kangaroo. Yeah. It was definitely going to be kangaroo. But yeah. Kangaroo, and I might even put like a slice of cheese on them. Maybe get wild, and then all the sauerkraut. The pickled onions is amazing on top of it. It's very nice.
What
about you? What's your lunch?
Not kangaroo.
Koala.
Yeah, brother. So I was a good catching up, man.
Yeah, man. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back next week. We'll have some stuff that we want to share. We're not sharing it yet because we just got to get stuff organized and in place. We'll share it properly. We shared a little bit of it last week. We weren't quite ready to let it rip, but we'll bring it out soon. If you want to see what Build for Adventure looks like and how to get in and be a part of it, which is helping dads lose 10 to 20 pounds in 12 weeks or 5 to 10 kilos, depending on which part of the world you're coming from, in 10 to 12 weeks. If you want to see what that looks like and get Build for Adventure, click the links in the show notes and we'll take you to where you need to go to find out about it. Always reach out to us on socials.
Awesome, Chris. Awesome.
Thanks, mate. See you guys. Raw.